attention to yourself.
This guy. I know this kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the class of 2021.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Lincoln, and I'm the Westlake High School Student Body Vice President. I have the pleasure of serving as your Master of Ceremonies for this evening's commencement. I'm going to be honest, I was planning on a very laggy Zoom graduation. Yet, in spite of the, let's just say, interesting year we have had, our class has overcome the challenges we have faced this year. To be able to gather here today is truly a testament to how amazing Westlake is and just how strong the class of 2021 is. Please welcome Abhinav Rashikonda, Vice President of the Westlake High School class of 2021, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags. Thank you.
Good evening. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated.
Of trustees, fellow students, family and friends, welcome. We want to thank everyone, especially our parents and teachers, for helping us get to this evening. This night is for you. At this time, I am honored to introduce the special guests who have joined us this evening for our commencement ceremony. I would like for each of these individuals to stand and remain standing so they may be recognized. Please hold your applause until I finish reading their names. First, please welcome our superintendent and members of the Eanes ISD Board of Trustees, Dr. Tom Leonard, Superintendent of Schools, Mr. John Havenstreit, Board President, Ms. Jennifer Champagne, Board Vice President, Mr. James Spradley, Board Secretary, Mrs. Ellen Balthazar, Board Member, Mrs. Laura Clark, Board Member, Ms. Kim McMath, Board Member, Mrs. Heather Sheffield, Board Member. Please join me in recognizing these individuals for their service to our school and community. And now it is my pleasure to introduce special guests from Westlake High School. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing so you may be recognized. Please hold your applause until I finish calling their names. Mr. Stephen Ramsey, Principal of Westlake High School. Mr. Paul Cooley, Assistant Principal. Ms. Sherry Crawford, Assistant Principal. Mr. Casey Ryan, Assistant Principal. Mr. Brian Shippey, Assistant Principal. Mrs. Lacey Victor, Assistant Principal, and Mrs. Renee Field, TLC Coordinator. Our counselors, Ms. Lisa Orange, Ms. Katie Broderick, Ms. Terry Ochoa, Ms. Heidi Sawyer, Ms. Lisa Saunders, Mrs. Tricia Euler, and Ms. Kristen Williamson. The teachers nominated by the class of 2021 to read our names tonight are Mrs. Jocelyn Bixler, Mr. Lee Bergen, Mr. James Baker, Ms. Melinda Darrow, and Ms. Kathy Cluck. Also assisting us this evening is EISD Director of STEM and former WHS Assistant Principal, Mr. Chad Burnett. Thank you. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Havenstreit, Eanes ISD Board President.
Good evening. I want to start by saying thank you to Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Ryan for putting together a team and a plan capable of getting us here tonight. It feels great to be back. A lot of things had to break just right to make this happen, so on behalf of the board and the community, I would like to express my appreciation for what you did to make this possible. I also want to thank some folks that don't get thanked often enough: our custodial workers, our bus drivers, our IT wizards, food service teams, maintenance crews, the front office and back office staff across the district that came in uncertain day after uncertain day, always determined to make sure things worked as they should so that our campuses and our kids were taken care of. Thank you to Dr. Leonard and Dr. Arnett, and thank you to every exhausted member of your administrative team. I have admired and appreciated your skillful coordinating efforts, your patience, forethought, creativity, flexibility, resilience, and forgiveness. Thank you to every department head, campus principal, and AP. You carried yourselves and each other through this year with more poise than I previously knew possible. And of course, thank you teachers and counselors, and thank you nurses. You took on every impossibly awful thing this year threw at you, and you survived. You kept it together, and you kept us together, roomers and zoomers and confused in-betweeners. You kept us organized and sane and healthy, and you made certain that everyone in your circle, in your class, and on your screen felt loved. Thank you for your grace, for never telling us what you thought about what was being asked of you, for not quitting, and for never giving up. And finally, to the seniors of the class of 2021, thank you for this opportunity, this great honor to address you this evening. Thank you to your parents for getting you this far. Thank you to your grandparents for getting your parents this far, and for their parents before them. As if it is not yet clear, you are standing on the shoulders of giants. That is, of course, true of every student every year, but it is even more true this year because of COVID. But now it's up to you. Spoiler, things aren't going to get any easier. Colleges and universities are only beginning to experiment with reopening. No telling what courses or campuses are going to look like next year or the year after that. We can hope, of course, but we cannot know. The job market is beginning to look up, but the truth is unemployment remains precariously high. Just a few months ago, it was higher than at any time since the greatest generation went to war to save the world. Fortunately, we're not a world at war right now, but some of our leaders, neighbors and friends, internationally, nationally, and locally, have been less than model citizens. So we're handing you a mess on the hips of a pandemic in the midst of uncertainty. And we're sorry. But we're also handing you a world full of promise, and we're crossing our fingers in hopeful prayer, anxious for you to do better than we have done with what we were handed a generation ago. It is the paradox of history that each generation is converted by the saint who contradicts it most. That's what Catholic scholar G.K. Chesterton says. He goes on to argue that saint is a metaphor for medicine, and that the world has an instinct for what it needs to heal itself, to grow, to meet its fullest promise. He firmly believes in tidal history, that great seas of change swamp history every generation, forever shaping our shared landscape. It's pretty big stuff, but I don't believe it. I believe in you and in the choices you will make individually. And I believe in the small ways, the things that you can do, the things that you will do. I believe they will change the world. What have your parents been telling you since you were born? What have your teachers been telling you since you walked into that first classroom all those years ago? Make good choices. Make the next right decision. They were talking to you about the little things and the transformative power they possess, that you possess. And as you begin exploring what we've left in our wake, you will find doors. Some open, some cracked, some closed, some false. Behind each, there will be an unpredictable mix of challenge, disappointment, and success. Know that each is a lesson, and in each lesson learned, there is a promise, the promise of opportunity. Take that promised opportunity seriously and do the things we, the adults in the room tonight, didn't or couldn't or wouldn't do ourselves. Untie a Gordian political knot, crack quantum, build something cleaner and better, monetize, sing, paint, or write something new. If you do any of these things, everyone's tomorrow will be better. These things, these promises of opportunity, they are yours. Look around this room again. Look at the humble men and women that got you here tonight, your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, your nurses and counselors. Think about the coaches, the bus drivers, janitors, cafeteria staff, substitutes, and countless faceless volunteers. This night, tonight, is their gift to you. The promise of opportunity you enjoy tonight is a gift. It represents their greatest hope for you. Consider it carefully and share it. Be a role model. Be a mentor. Pay it forward. Make your history. Make it better than we made ours. And as you do, never forget, there is no destiny. There is no paradox of history that will propel you forward. So listen to your mother. Listen to your teachers. Make good choices. Make the next right decision. And persevere. And if you do, you will succeed. And as you succeed, the world will become a better place. You will have honored the giants upon whose shoulders you stand tonight. And more important than all of that, you'll have made your mother very proud. So congratulations to the class of 2021. Once a Shap, always a Shap. Thank you. And on behalf of the Ames ISD Board of Trustees, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Havenstreit. And now please welcome our superintendent, Dr. Tom Leonard.
A little boy, I vividly remember visiting my grandfather at his house on the north side of Chicago. We were eating lunch, and I, being a picky eater, was repulsed by an ugly old piece of bread. My grandfather warmly smiled down at me and said, "Just eat it. It will not kill you." It wasn't until I was much older and knew more of his life story when I realized how meaningful that meal would become. You see, my grandfather came to the United States from Italy, alone with his mother when he was 6 years old. Fortunately for him, he was able to take free music lessons at Hull House, a community center set up by Jane Addams, the famed Nobel Peace Prize laureate, for immigrant children to learn the arts. By the way, this was the same place and during the same era when the jazz great Benny Goodman learned clarinet. Now again, I know you may not know who Benny Goodman is, but trust me, he was a very good jazz clarinet player. It was 11 years after he arrived in this country that my grandfather enlisted in the Army and was sent to France to fight in World War I. He survived trench warfare, played his horn sadly at many funerals, and ate whatever food was given with no question. During that war came the pandemic of 1918, the Spanish flu. Several years after World War I came 11 years of the Great Depression, followed by World War II. During the Great Depression, my grandfather's skills as a musician allowed him to support a family, playing with the show bands of Chicago and actually becoming a member of the Chicago Symphony. Those years from 1917 to 1945, roughly 100 years ago, were a tough time to become an adult. I truly believe that period, spanning nearly 4 decades of struggles and trials, made him into the wonderful person I knew as a young child. As he sat across the dining room table and told me to just eat it, it won't kill you, he was telling me much more than to eat an old piece of bread. He was sharing his history, who he was, and trying to help me grow into a person who would be able to survive the challenges that would lie ahead in my life. The class of 2021 is one of only 3 high school graduating classes in the last 100+ years to have experienced a pandemic. Something we all wished never would have happened, but it did. In some ways, you are just like my grandfather, a young man in 1918 who lived through a pandemic with more hardships that would lie ahead. I have no idea what joys and challenges await you in the years to come. But I do know we are formed by our experiences that shape our attitudes. Hopefully, even a difficult experience can make us stronger and better able to face future trials. We have missed so much of a normal school year. Yet I truly believe as we put the pandemic, the masks, and the social distancing behind us, we would be wise to remember how we did the best we could, took care of others, and how this experience will make us better prepared for any challenges still to come. Who knows? Maybe eating that old piece of bread helped me in ways I have never understood. I have been attending high school graduations as a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent for over 40 years. Tonight, I can honestly and confidently state I have never been more proud of any graduating class. Class of 2021, you have been tested. You have been strong. And by doing so, you have made our entire community better. You have great experiences ahead of you, challenges and celebrations. But I know your resilience will help you and guide you along the way. I wish you good health, happiness, and I wish you love. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leonard. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce our principal, Mr. Stephen Ramsey.
Class of 2021's graduation ceremony. As we begin tonight, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about this wonderful group of seniors. If there was one group that I would like to have had the high school during this strange and unique and special year, I would definitely pick this class. For some of these students, I've had them since 6th grade, and as when they came to 6th grade at Westridge, this was a very calm, very focused, very driven, but also a very joyous group, and that has continued through their 7 years of secondary schooling between Westridge, Hill Country, and now Westlake High School. When people would ask me, how are you going to pull this off? What do you think is really going to happen? Are we going to sustain this? Are we going to make it through the school year? I simply knew I had two huge advantages as a principal. I knew the staff, I knew what they would bring each and every day, but the greatest advantage I think I knew that I had after working at 2 decades at Westlake High School is this special group of students. You guys had the ability, whether we were remote, we were all Zooming, you guys went all in and made a commitment to make the best of each and every day. Well, during the pandemic, we've had a lot of challenges with learning, and this class really set the stage and the tone for our campus that no matter the situation, you put academics as a priority each and every day. I think out of all the things, we used to say back when I was coaching here, there was a great phrase by Coach Ron Schrader, and it was, when correct hard work becomes fun, success will follow. And I think from watching this class over the last 4 years, you're hard workers, you always have a little fun with things, and man, success has really followed you guys. So I'd say that's the standard that's been set that I hope will pass on to the next classes. Sometimes hard work takes a knock in this day and age, but I promise you this, after knowing these kids as long as I have, this class has outworked any class in the state of Texas. So let's now take the time to look at some of the achievements of the class of 2021. So a little over a decade ago, I was an assistant principal at Westlake High School, And I sat through many graduations, and I always told myself, man, if I was ever in charge, I'd do things a little bit different. And that's why we kind of are making a video within a video. We did this 5 years ago, the first time for the class of 2017. And I always like to bring a little something extra to it. So I'm going to bring a guy in called Coach Ted Lasso. If you don't know Coach Lasso, he came into my life this summer. And when I watched this series, there were some emotions that were brought forth. I think this scene, as we move forward for this class, has a lot in it that defines you guys, and I think will also lead us into the future. So I'd like to introduce you to Coach Lasso.
So look, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah. Now look, this is a sad moment right here for all of us. There ain't nothing I can say standing in front of you right now that could take that away. But please, do me this favor, will you? Lift your heads up and look around this locker room. Yeah? Look at everybody else in here. And I want you to be grateful that you're going through this sad moment with all these other folks. Because I promise you, there is something worse out there than being sad, and that is being alone and being sad. Ain't nobody in this room alone. Sam, do you remember what animal has the shortest memory?
A goldfish.
That's right. That's a goldfish. Sam, what do you think we should all do once we get done being sad?
I think we should all be a goldfish.
I agree. Let's be sad now. Let's be sad together. And then we can be a gosh darn goldfish. Onward, forward.
So Coach Lasso made me think of this class and the finality of things. Usually I go around and talk to you guys in the classes. Mr. Ryan and I usually visit you about 3 or 4 times, and we tell lots of little stories, lots of graduation tidbits, get you really kind of fired up about it. But I think Coach Lasso kind of really hit on something for you guys that we haven't had the time to talk about, and that this is a sad night. This is a night that things do change forever. But one thing that I really love about Coach Lasso there is, I hope you take the time right now to look around. One thing we have really tried to do, even through the pandemic, is to build relationships and to have you guys know you're not alone. Once a Shap, always a Shap, really kind of instills that pride that we're a special place, and we want you guys to know that when you guys think back about Westlake High School, that you have friends, but as a campus, we want this class to know you have teachers, coaches, directors, counselors, administrators, staff who cares for you, and that you're never alone. His last 2 words he says, onward and forward, kind of defines this class. You took things one day at a time. You took them 1 week at a time. And you always made a commitment to each other and to this campus that will never be forgotten. And we look forward to all the great things you will do for this community and this world.
Life ain't always beautiful. Sometimes it's just plain hard. Life can knock you down. It can break your heart. But the struggles make me stronger, and the changes make me wise. And happiness has its own way of taking its sweet time. No, life ain't always beautiful, but I know I'll be fine. Hey, life ain't always beautiful, but it's a beautiful ride. What a beautiful ride.
So seniors, after watching Coach Lasso, I think it's time we bring it up a notch. One thing we had hoped to do was have a whole lot of TikTok dances, but no one came forward. I guess they did not want to have to do any TikTok dancing with me. It's probably the only negative I have about y'all, because as a father of teenagers, I like a good TikTok. So now I'm a little upset, but we're still going to go ahead and move forward to totally declaring you 100% graduates of Westlake High School.
You're so golden. You're so golden.
And now, Dr. Leonard and the members of the Eanes Board of Trustees, it is my privilege and pleasure to certify that the students before you, the Westlake High School class of 2021, have fulfilled all of the requirements as set forth by the state of Texas, the Texas Education Agency, and the Eanes Independent School District, and are therefore eligible to receive their high school diploma or attendance certificate. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Leonard to please come forward.
Members of the Board of Trustees, I am pleased to accept these students, having fulfilled the requirements of the state of Texas and the Eanes Independent School District, as graduates of Eanes Independent School District and Westlake High School. Congratulations. Mrs. Bixler, will you come to the podium to present our first group of graduates?
The first to walk are the top 10 graduates in the class of 2021. Felix Young Chin. Nolan Derek Ambillard. Ronak Singh Janthop. Michael Zhang. Teresa Lua. Frank Wei. Lauren May He. Eric Lee. Edward Coleman Scott. Jason Xiaoquan Lua. George Axel Hunkenkraus. Ayana Jalal. Reed Alexander Shafe Nelson. Preston James Prenty. Ahmed Ali Rockrauki. Ethan Jacob Abraham. Zachary Joseph Abraham. Lean Fayez Abu Ghosh. Rafael Acuna. Kevin Wynn Adams. Ireland Shea Arney. Helen Elizabeth Agnes. Gabriela Adriana Aguirre. Elena Essen. Julia Charlotte Alexander. Manal Salim Ali. Benjamin Charles Allen. Leanne Al-Sayed. Obed Ezekiel Aparez. Karthikeya Shrikar Ambadi. William Ambrose. Charles Lynn Anderson. Lance John Andrus. Lauren Elizabeth Apostolakis. Alice Reagan Apple. Reese William Areno. Mia Ann Arriaga. Elizabeth Louise Ashby. Kermit Humberto Milo Aveda. Amelia Tejeda Azadi. Mary Grace Josephine Baez. Lyda Grace Ballard. Nora Elizabeth Bain. Freya Bunzel. Savannah Grace Baptiste. Fiza Bakai. Edwin Lloyd Barnhart. TJ Barnhart. Hudson Gordon Bartlett. Adi Barua. Josh Barua. Cassidy Lashley Beard. Davis Reed Bearden. Bo Vincent Bethard. Ellen Victoria Becker. Kevin Matthew Biter. Kate Bell. Julian Matthew Benesh. Samuel Blake Benesh. Carolyn K. Bergen. Carter James Bettersworth. Solana Braxton Byer. Lillian Maria Bird. Gunnar Mickey Bjork. Abigail Hain Blaylock. Ryan Christopher Bladen. London Mosler Blumberg. Isabella Tatum Bach. Kayla Ann Bocock. Tess Alexandra Bonkeith. Reese Brandon Bordas. Pedro Pablo Bosch. Mariana Botero. Josiah Greed Brantley. Hayden John Bray. Victor Seamus Breitenbach. Wyatt Clarence Bridge. Evan Baltimore Bright. Malia Keung Brookins. Taven Reed Patterson Brown. Taylor Maxwell Brown. Aiden Fitzgerald Brown. Emma Browning. Olivia Browning. Emma Beth Wilson Bridson. Gregory James Budisilich. I'm sorry. Zachary Frederick Windsor Bird. Lucy Lawrenson Burdick. Bailey Maxwell Burke. Elliot Gibbons Burke. Charlie Amelie Burnley. Fred Costin Bush IV. Jake David Butler. Natalie Claire Carter. James Douglas Casey. Laquela Deschanais Sumari Chambers Wells. Shehan Dillam Chandrasoma. Luke Brian Cheatham. Violet Isabel Chenoweth. Kirsten Emily Douglas Cherry. Grady Meyer Chernogianis. Marilyn Kathleen Kristen. Annabelle Elizabeth Christian. Eleanor Grace Churchill. Patrick Joseph Churchill. Colin Hayes Clark. Kennedy Ellen Claxton. Nathan Trinon Coe. Olivia Marie Coates. Andre Jacob Coetzee. Ellie Minter Cohen. Lucy Ann Colangelo. Natalie Colgert. Hunter Jaguar Hurricane Collard. Caroline Marie Elise Como. Reagan Lorraine Comerford. Lucille Marie Copa. Sean Campbell Costa. Theo Coder. Charlie Anna Courtney. Tegan Lindley Kraft. Kendall Nicole Crevinson. John Instone Crockett V. Michael Reed Crossan. Tell a joke. I don't have a joke. I don't have a mom joke. Okay. Charlotte Grace Kroll. Cameron Troy Shula. Addison Posey Cummings. Ava Camille Curry. Ryan Douglas Cusack. Sophia Giovanna D'Angelo. Alexander James Darrow. Emma Catherine David. Emma Elizabeth Davidson. Anna Grace Davis.
Thank you, Mrs. Bixler. I am very happy to introduce the salutatorian of Westlake High School's class of 2021, Nolan Amblard.
Good evening, students, parents, and faculty. I am here today as the salutatorian of the 2021 graduating class. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the faculty, who did an amazing job of nurturing us all into who we are today, my friends who supported me during my difficult times, and my parents, who always pushed me to be the best version of myself. There exists a famous Japanese proverb that states that people have three faces. The first being the one they show the world, the second being the one they show to friends and family, and the third being shown only to oneself. Personally, the face I show the world is a respectful and hard-working young man who wants the best for himself and others. The face I show my friends and family is slightly goofier and less serious, but still hardworking and respectful, but the one I show myself is egotistical and extremely driven. The face I would call the true me doesn't necessarily fall into one category, but is instead a mix of the three. All three have different motivations and reasons for wanting to be successful, which has helped me drive myself to work hard and be the most successful version of myself that I can be. Once I was aware of the different versions of myself, I used that knowledge to bring my masks together and achieve my goals. Society makes success out to be only achieved by those who are rich and living in big homes, but that isn't necessarily true. Success is different for all of us, so it's up to each of us to define success and try our best to achieve our goals in order to be happy. I found success while swimming, not by doing what most do and trying to achieve competitive times, but by being able to stay in shape. But on the other hand, I also found conventional success in my academic life, which is what led me to be standing here today. While these successes are very different, they both brought me joy in different ways. I hope that you are able to find purpose for yourself, whether it is personal, academic, athletic, or anything else that helps you find success and happiness. Thank you all for coming out tonight, and congratulations to the class of 2021 for graduating from high school. I wish you all the best, and if our paths cross again in the future, I hope to hear your stories of success. Mr. Bergen, will you please come forward and present the next group of graduates?
Braden Ray Davis. William Jackson Davis. Charles Theodore Dawson. Ellen Pennings Dawson. Fernanda de la Mora. Catherine Elizabeth Deal. Jackson Matthew Denton. Cole Luciano de la Paz. Magdalena Lucia de las Corin. Katie Elizabeth Denton. Wyatt Stephen Durr. Adam Soliman Desai. Pallavi Eka Desai. Patrick James Devlin. Trustin Van Adam Dewey Hogginson. Dylan Darius Dahimi. Akil Amin Ducka. Jonathan Ford Dickerson. Jacob Matthew Ditto. Bianca Angeli Dukic. Shane Rustin Dolezal. Everett Lawrence Dollar. Faison Omer Dosani. Phoebe Claire Drovich. Delaney Catherine Druart. William Grant Dubois. Elena Jean Duffy. Nathaniel Irving Duhan. Catherine Lindsay Doolin. Emily Catherine Duncan. Asher Sky Dunlap. Shane Sayer Dunworth. Maxwell Dupree. Clayton Reed Duval. William Walter Dyke. Zora Christiana Ebanks. Austin Lane Ekstrom. Nicolette Samantha Eckhoff. Mila Natasha Edwards. Julia Madeline F. Morgan Adeline Ellinger. William Duke Elliott. Cooper Charles Ellis. Victor Alfred Imbert. Olivia Marie Emmerich. Natalie Day Indris. James Wilson Enix. Alessandria Giovanna Epiphany. Trevor Giles Erickson. Hallie Porter Esky. Alejandro Estrema Doyuro. Allison Simpson Fagan. Taylor Jean Fambro. Jacqueline Lee Feldman. Mia Elise Figaro. Brian David Finley James. Ella Catherine Finnegan. Joseph Amos Firm. Tristan Garland Ford. Christian Matthew Fournier. Brooke Alexis Fox. Douglas John Fox III. Jacob Andrew Foxhoven. Eric Mitchell Franklin. Coulter McGann Fry. Jake Michael Frickenschmidt. Rose Abigail Furnish. Sebastian Gallegos. Rohan Gunga Numakani. Katerina Paula Garcia. Christian Noel Garcia. Scott Ryan Garson. John Wiley Garwood. Ryan Elizabeth Gaskamp. Maria Alikievna Gavriluva. Olivia Grace Gazda. Ellie Anna Gerber. Matthew Ryan Guy. Isabella Yasmin Gori. Rhett Edward Gieske. Aaron Ron Gill. Alexander Webb Gilbreth. Grace Ames Gillen. Joseph Allen Gillett. William McLean Gillum. Gwen Morgan Gilmore. Vaughn Logan Geenack. Adam Christopher Giordano. Harper Grace Giordano. James Grayson Girdley. Isabel Thatcher Glenn. Allison Noel Goldman. Gabriela Elizabeth Gomez. Annabelle Lily Gong. Sebastian John Gonzalez. Rena Nandini Gopal. Radhika Govind. Jeremiah Emmanuel Grace. Parker Stephen Grassley. David Michael Greenberg. Emma Shunya Guan. Rohan Reddy Gudapali. Andrew Joseph Guerra. Nicholas Italo Guerra. Maxima Gillett. Jackson Thomas Hagan. Nina Cecile Hallberg. Reagan Grace Howley. William Hysham Hamlin. Anna Grace Hammett. Cade Nicholas Hand. Sloan Ashton Hanley. Valerie Lynn Hansen. Vivian Lynn Harris. Nicholas Julian Hartman. Caitlin Hashman. John D. Hawkins. Channing Morgan Hay. Harper Jean Hay. Thomas Bush Hayden. Taylor Sky Heffernan. Stephen Mack Hebley. Siona Renee Helmy. Alec Scott Henderson. Miles Andrew Herman. Ella Grace Hicks. Joseph McGlasson Hill IV. Grayson Scott Hillen. Andrew Stephen Hines. Emma Grace Hodges. Nick Andrew Hogan. Sydney Taylor Hoke. Edith Rose Holzman. Jet Walker Horn. Shuin Su. Annie Huang. Catherine Huang. Samantha Grace Hudson. Caitlin Ann Hughes. Megan Colleen Hummel. Hensley Ellison Humphreys. Jay Holland Humphreys. Ellie Deanne Husig. Asir Aman Hussein. Eleanor Catherine Hutchison. George Winfield Jackson. Simone Colette Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Bergen. And now, to present our next group of graduates, I'd like to invite Mr. Baker to come forward.
Sorrel Nicole Jackson. Jessica Paige Yakubik. Tyler David Jarrett. Nina Treva Jasper. Graham Thomas Jatnick. Brooks Christopher Jeffers. Caroline Elizabeth Jenkins. Lars Eric Scoot Jensen. Alexander Carl Jessup. Catherine C. Jen. Lewis Quad Johnson IV. Avery Diane Jones. Jackson Cole Jones. Joshua William Jones. Catherine Grace Jones. Lillian Nicole Jones. William Carter Joseph. Reese David Jumonville. Nicole Celeste Hain. Adam Kramer Castleman. Evan Christopher Castman. John Emerson Keaton. Zoe Ellen Scout Keels. Ava Elise Keene. Sarah Mackenzie Kelly. Leah Nicole Kimpennon. Brady Piper Kennedy. Joss Ryan Kinney. Reagan Alexandra Keogh. Jonah Michael Cown. Sharesta Kada. Suleiman Tariq Khan. Summer Saleen Khan. Sarah Tiffany Kilgard. Makara Kim. Tai Kyung Louis Kim. Callie Claire Kimbrell. Sophie Claire King. Aiden Brennan Kinnaird. Olivia Emma Kirchin. Hannah Seagraves Kidda. Ava Amelia Kaiser. Cameron Adam Klein. Ella Therese Knight. Ryan Alexander Knaus. Maximilian Jenny Crisan. Kaylin Quinn Kroger. Kale Andrew Kugler. Karina D. Kumar. Christopher James Kirker. Brady Robert Lamb. Christian MacArthur Lane. Christian Paul Lang. Zachary David Lang. David Alexander Ledbetter. Agatha Sarabo Lee. Haley Mary Lou Lecter. Caleb Eric Layton. Hayden Matthew Lepsis. Aubrey Rain Lewis. William Joseph Lewis. Bennett Lee. Oliver Daniel Leonard. Carson Douglas Lindysmith. Audrey Lucille Lingen. Alexander John Link. Aiden Storm Lipsher. Ty Edward Little. Noah Liu. Drew Loke. Aaron Evie Lopez Lynn. Fabiola Lopez Horacio. Emma Marie Lovegrove. Michael Alcott Lovell. Cameron William Einard Lovin. Kristen Julia Lowe. Marissa Ann Luke. Sophia Nicole Lum. Michael Joseph Lastina. Scott Cameron Lynch. Emily J.O. Ma. Fiona Karen Roberta McGregor. Reese Michael McRae. Lila Selvakumar Mali. Anthony Paul Mandola. Cade Richard Mankel. Jocelyn Shea Maples. Raquel Marichalar Lozano. Michael Albert Mariotti. Michelle Donna Marshallek. Jack Edward Marshall. Jenna Marie Martin. Travis Riley Martin. Thomas Adrian Marty Mingat. Natalie Isabel Masad. Got it. McKay Elizabeth Massingale. Lauren Elizabeth Matthews. Grace Mock. Grace Sarah Nicole Maxwell Tavis. Jenna Therese May. Haley Mabel McCain. Zachary Lanham McCall. Olivia Grace McCann. Kelsey Zhang Yi McCormick. Tanner Blake McDougall. Claire Oakley McElhenney. Ellen Kohinoor McAvoy. Kellen Patrick McGinnis. Jack Marshall McBrain. Stoney Andrew McGuire. Keith Daniel McKernan. Kenyon Grace McMichael. Ryan Charles McMillan. Christian Lee McWilliams. Shreya Rao Mechaneni. Emma Isabella Medell. Jacob Matthew Medell. Shalisha Margaret Meditz. Aaron A. Merchant. Damon Vincent Merkel. Alyssa Lynn Morell. Megan Sloan Meserole. Alexander James Meyer. Andrew Keith Miller. Lillian Ruth Miller. Thomas William Miller. Frank Gabriel Milligan. Zane McGriff Miners. Lucas Robert Maru. Eliza Hope Miskovitz. Ia Mitra. Isha Mitra. Michael Maximilian Moser. Zaid D. Momin. Maria De Carmo Cardoso Muniz. Marin Rayner Monsive. Patricio Montemayor Gonzalez. Milena Helene Montgomery. Maximus Salvador Montoya. Parker Samuel Moon. Caroline Erin Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. At this time, it is my honor to introduce the valedictorian of Westlake High School's class of 2021 and student body president, Felix Chen. He will be giving the class message.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. First off, to the administration and staff that made tonight possible, thank you. In a year with many disruptions, I know we seniors are grateful for the opportunity to close out our high school experience with this ceremony. Thank you to our custodians for working hard to keep our school clean and safe, and our medical staff for their diligent contact tracing and COVID testing. Thank you to my teachers, who always gave me the chance to engage more deeply with the lessons in class and to find ways to connect them with my own passions. Thank you to the parent volunteers who have made so many events possible with their time and energy. I would like to thank my family for their strong and unwavering support. My sister is in the audience today, and she has always been someone I look up to. Thank you to my mom and my dad for being a constant source of encouragement, and for being someone I can always talk to. Thank you to all my peers and the friends I've made throughout this journey. You have profoundly shaped my high school experience, and I have enjoyed learning and working alongside y'all. It has truly been an honor serving as your class president and student body president. This certainly sounds cliche, but it really feels like time has flown by. I still remember being handed my Class of 2021 t-shirt in kindergarten. At the time, 2021 seemed so distant, like something out of a science fiction novel. But here we are, today, about to start the next chapter of our lives. In an otherwise bleak year, I want to take the time to appreciate the moments of light, of kindness, and of courage that our community has seen since we walked out for spring break last year and returned to a very different world. Even before the pandemic touched our community firsthand, we already had students organizing fundraisers and donation drives to help those in need. And when the pandemic impacted our own community, students found more ways to help by broadcasting important information on social media, helping to transport supplies to where they were needed, and even leveraging their technical skills to build essential equipment, starting efforts like ATX and custom-made face shields. I am inspired by my peers who used their individual voices and platforms to advocate for causes they believe in, and to do so in a way that helps our own community strive to be more welcoming and more inclusive. Many students in our class, including myself, had the opportunity to vote for the very first time this year. It was uplifting to see our students and teachers prioritize the importance of getting involved and to help reverse the trend of civically disengaged youth. We SHAPs are not apathetic. We are not merely students that clock in and clock out for the sole purpose of graduating, but in fact, we are involved and invested members of a larger community who care deeply about making a difference. I am grateful for the teachers and staff that, despite the circumstances, worked hard to connect with students and guide their learning. I know that the tiny confines of the Zoom square are no match for face-to-face, in-person, human interaction, but we are all thankful that you went the extra mile for us. I am proud of the sense of community that Westlake has fostered, and I know we will carry that kindness, that enthusiasm for improvement, that concern for others to wherever we find ourselves next. And I'll forever remember those 6 words painted on the walls of Westlake High. Once a SHAP, always a SHAP. Thank you. Ms. Darrow, will you please come to the podium to present the next group of graduates?
Javery Ann Morales. Georgia Blaine Moreland. Anthony Blake Moreno. David Michael Morgan. Margaret Alyn Morris. Nicholas Sanders Morris, Jr. Tate William Moskell. Amanda Lynn Moskovitz. Ian Alistair Mowat. Emily Hussein Wu. Ryan Lyle McCahey. Blake Austin Munn. Ella Ambrose Murphy. Abigail Lindsay Murr. Jacob Edward Myers. John Hendrick Neighbors. Rodrigo Nahara Acuna. Gray Emil Nakfur. Rocco Anthony Napoliello. Isabella Basilia Nasur. Luke Richard Nattenstedt. Allison Ryan Nauman. Ian Matthew Nazareth. Kenzie Fox Neese. Juliana Bell Neal. Ty Benjamin Nelms. Luke Barrett Neville. Zachary David Lane. Margaret Maxine Newton. Albert Vinfu Nguyen. Arnold Tan Nam Nguyen. Ethan Gutierrez Nguyen. Von Phi Nguyen. Samuel Nicastro. Maxwell Charles Nickerson. John Luke Miklos. Blake Owen Harry Nielsen. Matthew Martin Norden. Mackenzie Grace Noonan. Cordelia Jewel Norman. Nicholas Oliver Norman. Andrea Camila Norton. Kaya Rose Knoll. Olivia Ruth Nutter. Javante Demetrius O'Connor. Drew Harrison Odama. Lauren Brady Ogilvy. Benjamin Christopher Olmeyer. Ethan Moore Olney. Lucas Mason Olney. Allison Lee Orman. Luke R. Osman. Natalie Christine Overend. Catherine Chapman Pace. Santiago Felipe Pacheco. Charles Winthrop Packard. Christy Brianna Padron Sanchez. Lindy Reese Pankonine. Bennett Nicholas Asumi Papalexis. Siley Uma Patel. Sarah Elizabeth Patterson. Oliver Mackenzie Paver. Clayton Christopher Pavlot. Avery Ann Permenter. Aiden Perry. Genevieve Elizabeth Perry. Dylan James Flum. Wen Thao Ni Fan. Evan Joseph Finnegar. Ashton Porter. Mary Elizabeth Potts. Nithya Prakash. Samuel David Pratt. Kervin Edward Prince. Dax Oliver Princeton. Hallie Grace Pritchett. Sophia Lamar Pachetti. Roxanne Joy Polito. Paul Wise Pullen. Cade Purcell. Abhinav Rachakanda. Nicholas Ford Ramos. Patricia Grace Ray. Sloan Elizabeth Reardon. John David Regalado. Vivian Ann Riley. Ryan Andrew Reinhardt. Luke Jackson Respass. Tyler Andrew Reverine. Noah Joseph Richards. Ramsey Ann Richards. Grant Michael Rivera. Logan Preston Roberts. John Davis Robertson. Ryan Young Robertson. Carola Rodriguez. Isabel Taylor Rodriguez. Catherine Olivia Isola Raggi. Camille Elise Rome. William Bennett Ross. Lila Victoria Ruhi. Andrew Michael Roush. Akash Roy Barden. Anna Grace Royal. Corey Daniel Rozier. Robin Lucille Rutenko. Tyler Ruiz. Owen Thomas Run. James Evan Rutherford. Grant Remington Ryan. Sophia Nicole Ryder. Carly Teresa Saad. Annika Caroline Sadelman. Zainab Sajid. Benjamin Antonio Salazar. Ann Hope Saltel. Kate Margaret Saltel. Hunter George Samra. Tatiana Bella Sanderson. Bridget Alyn Santa Croce. Aaron Fisher Sapp. Chase Wallace Savoy. Alexandra Saxton. Samuel Ray Schaffer. Diego Antonio Schleppe. Jessica Christine Schulzen. Zane Avery Sharon. Ford Allen Schuster. Joseph Alexander Schwab. Eleanor Augusta Scott. Graceland Dawn Scott. Trinity Raven Scott. Isaac Takadu Seckler.
Thank you, Ms. Darrow. And now, to present our last group of graduates, I'd like to invite Ms. Cluck to come forward.
Michaela Joy Selke. Elliot Costa Selenides. Ashley Ellen Settle. Abrav Nikesh Shah. Manya M. Shaw. Hayden Michelle Shantz. Anusha Sharma. Hannah Mackenzie Shaw. Jonathan Parker Sheffield. Alton Zhenjiang Shen. Kalinda Shen. Catherine Claire Sherhart. Alita Debbie Shedegar. Colin Craig Chagales. Sage Garrett Shirley. Shiro Shuvit. Natalia Simbek Elias. Zachary Tanner Simchak. Radhika Singh. Anuj Singhal. Henry Murphy Skinner. Barrett Drew Smith. Garrett Burton Smith. Hudson Clark Smith. Nolan David Smith. Sarah Yvonne Smith. Harper Marion Smithiel. Ella Jane Sockwell. Isabella Rose Solis. John Carlos Soltero. Danny Sufi. Elijah Miles Sudafone. Laura Elizabeth Spencer. Rachel Belinda Spencer. Sean Patrick Spencer. Jordan Cooper Spradley. Larson McCall Stack. Jacob Alexander Stavro. Ziola Ramon Steele. Zoe Catherine Steele. Holland Elizabeth Stevens. Andrew Mason Stewart. Chapel Covert Stewart. Zachary Thomas Ward Stewart. Hunter Stephen Stilt. Juliet Haishan Stabner. Aiden Watson Stout. Amelia Catherine Straley. Luke Joseph Strine. Isabella Leggett Strickland. Katrina Marie Stroud. Caitlin Michelle Sutton. Elijah Cole Sutton. Clark Daniel Sweeney. Michael Joseph Taff. Lisa Gail Tackett. Elizabeth McFadden Taylor. Anna Eugen Thomas. Alana Bryn Thompson. Annabelle Meredith Thompson. Blake Richard Thompson. Tori Elizabeth Thompson. Kevin Paul Thompson. Travis Ransom Thornhill. Jonah Lee Thurman. Bryce Jordan Tomanning. Caitlin Anastasia Trammell. Emma Spain Trammell. Donald Walter Transu III. Adrian Isaac Trevino. Edith Madre Trevetti. Elaine Grayson Trotter. Ethan Scott Trumeter. Emma Starman Tyler. Jack Thomas Uhr. Shamia Umer. Ava Ashlyn Unfluck. Jackson Bobby Vale. McKelvey Chu Valenti. Tyler Michael Van Dyke. Peyton McCann Van Winkle. Ethan Quinn Vasquez. Nathaniel Ansel Veit. Arden Grace Bender. Sarika Venkat. Blake Miller Wallace. Sean Wang. Nicholas Tadao Watanabe. Susan Elizabeth Watson. Reagan Hope Weatherford. Lauren Riley Webster. Jillian Christine Weeks. Audrey Valentine Weisberg. Sienna Grace Welsh. Caroline Montgomery Wernley. John David Westfall. Evelyn Ann Westfield. Leah Ashton Elizabeth Wheeler. Jackson Weiss. Landon Shane Wilbanks. Ethan Crawford Wilfong. Brady Dawson Wilkin. Mark Dalton Willenbring. Andrew Austin Williams. Bo Williams. Jaden Michael Williams. Abigail Grace Williamson. Devin Ford Wilson. Stella Ann Wilson. Riley James Wingo. Taylor Lynn Wise. Alexander Vincent Wolf. Hudson Reed Woodring. Edward Lee Wood. William Henley Wipperman. Victor Jiwa Yao. L. Marie Yarbrough. Su Chen Yen. Kelly Yiling Yu. Evan Dewan Yu. Kevin Yu. Paulina Zamaripa. Austin Luke Zavala. Lawrence Letian Zhang. Jonathan Marco Zhao. Aiden Lokwin Ziaya. And Molly Quinn Zadar.
Thank you, Ms. Club. At this time, for picture purposes, if all the graduates could put on their red masks. And finally, please welcome the president of the Westlake High School class of 2021, Ellie Churchill.
I am thrilled to be the first person to congratulate you on officially graduating with the Westlake class of 2021. At this time, please stand. And move your tassels from the right to the left of your cap. Now look in your program and sing along to the Westlake High School alma mater.